Hi and welcome back to my channel. It's that time of year where we make bunnies and shop for Easter eggs and all that sort of thing. I've been making a few of the bunnies that Christine has been doing, and she has got this pattern up, and I can give you the links for Christine's YouTube channel down below and you can follow that through. I did my pattern out on some plastic. Now this is plastic that you get off those clear page books, and I got a whole stack of them from the Opshop because I was making those book holders or the book bags, and I thought, I'm going to cut this bunny out of plastic, then I could use that for tea dyeing paper or on the jelly plate or anything. So I cut that out, and I wanted to make it just a tad chunkier, so I just traced it out just a little bit thicker than what the pattern was, and that works great. So I've just recently made these two little bunnies. They are cute. I ended up putting some little doily motifs on for their tails, so they're all done. And then I've got this piece of, well, I've got the whole dressing gown, this funky 70s dressing gown. Isn't it awesome? Now I want to do a rabbit for myself. Now the bunting that I did for our cabin, it's hanging up on the window, and it is all in yellow themes. And I just love how it turned out. So let's put those bunnies aside, and look, I'm cheating a bit here. I'm doing mine on the sewing machine. Christine slow stitches all hers, so make sure if you're into slow stitching that you pop over and check out Christine's, because they are gorgeous. All right, I want to get a lot of that pink on there. So, and then I know there's a little hole in my sleeve here and some repairs down here. Look at that, that looks awesome. So the repairs on this, so I won't waste anything on this because it wasn't cheap. I think I paid, it's a big long dressing gown. I've still got a lot of it left. I've used one sleeve, this is the second sleeve, so I think I made a little a little needle book with the other sleeve. Right, I've just got one of these, are they called a friction marker, or they just disappear with heat, so they're like a disappearing pen, and I am going to trace my bunny pattern onto here. Now you could use any sort of fabric. The bunting that I did, I used a woolen blanket. I used an old retro curtain. I used vintage velvet. That was beautiful, that one. What did I use? Oh, the other one was a pillowcase. So you can use whatever you want, whatever you've got. Hope you're all having a good day. I did some Easter shopping today, and getting ready for that sort of season. Not long off now. Okay, I'm just going to cut that off so it's a bit smaller, and I will keep the rest of that, and I'll put my bunny pattern aside. I'm just going to pin it down too, so I can keep that together while I'm sewing. What's on the other side? Oh yeah, got a nice bit of pattern on the other side. Now I've got, where's my scissors gone? They're in somewhere. Now this dressing gown had little strings hanging off it everywhere, so I'm having to, it's got some of the quilting still on it and some not, so I am going to change my colour on the sewing machine and we'll get going with that. Alright, if you pay attention to the pattern, we're going to leave this part open. Okay, I've got the right sides out, so you know the inside of the fabric is facing in, and I'm just going to leave this part open to do the stuffing, and then the last thing we do is just put a line along there, but I'll show you as I go along. So it's a bit hard to see the lines on this one, but we'll get there. Alright, we're just going to start at the base of his tail and go right round. I'm just using a straight stitch, and I've just got it on a size 3 straight stitch, and you're just going to sew all around the pattern you just traced, and we're not even going to turn this inside out, so it's that easy. Okay, so that's it for the sewing part of it. Alright, so all you need to do now is stuff it and sew that bottom line back up. So the first thing I do is go right up to the you've got this open here that you've left open, and the first thing I do is go up to the ears and put one lot of stuffing in each of the ears. So just manipulate it upwards and push it into each ear. And you could totally embroider this or anything before you sew it. I'm just doing some time-saving retro sort of funky ones that just use up the fabrics that the beautiful fabrics that I've found, and that's mainly what it's showcasing. And then I might just tie some rickrack around the neck, or just something simple. Okay, the head is stuffed. Now the next tricky part to stuff would be why is that doing that? Oh, is the foot down here. So I just grab a little bit and stuff that next. I'm going to go down in and around that little foot section. Okay, and then stuff the neck part. And you could use all sorts of stuffing. You could use other pieces of fabric or pieces of leftover yarn or anything to stuff this. Doesn't need to be brand new stuffing. Okay, looking good. Put some in the tail now. This one's only got a little tail. The other ones I put a bigger doily on them. But I just want to showcase this awesome retro fabric on this bunny. Okay, and then once you get to almost full, the last little bit is his foot behind the front foot, like it's his back foot, but it's sort of sitting just there. And you need to just put just a little bit of stuffing in there. That's probably the trickiest place to get some stuffing in, actually. But this is a lot easier because it's already padded. That sort of fabric that's already got a layer of padding in it, so you won't see so much if you miss that little foot section. So it doesn't need to be stuffed, you know, really hard. Just depends how, you know, how full you want it to look. Now you have to close up then the gap between the front foot and the back end, and that's just the section that you left open, and it's just a matter of putting your bunny back on. It's going to be a little squeeze under the sewing machine. Make sure the other side's sitting right, and then just do a little straight stitch along and close it up. Right, and to finish this gorgeous bunny, we are going to get our pinking shears and we're going to cut around the outside. Now just go slowly with this because you don't want to cut right, you know, you're not going to cut right next to that. You know, just don't get close to the stitching that you've just done. Don't want to cut that. But you're going to get, you know, just that's the sort of length away. It'd be, I don't know, a few millimeters. And just go slowly, and you're going to go all around the edge of where you've just sewn. And it comes together so quick and so cute. When I made the yellow ones, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to make some more of these. Now sometimes you might need to turn it just so you can get it at a different angle, which will make it easier for you. And like I said, you could totally slow stitch this. I just don't have the time to do that at the moment, so that was my decision to just use the sewing machine. But you know what, I'm just any excuse to get that sewing machine out. I love it. I'm so grateful for that for my birthday. I've never had a nice sewing machine and it's just made the world of difference. Okay, it's a little bit tricky to get in here behind his neck, so just make sure you when you cut, you're cutting it right. Otherwise you don't want to undo all your hard work. Just cut off all your little threads. I've got some little stray threads from the actual dressing gown too. It's looking pretty cute. See, there's a few stray threads where the dressing gown has just had so much love over its years. Alright, we'll go down near the tail. And then along the bottom. Still need to go up in here. Now this is probably the most trickiest part to cut, but just go slow and you'll get it. I think I cut round that part of the toe first and then come over this side and go up, and then just cut that little bit away. That seems the easiest way to get up in there, and then just go around his toe. And he's done. Isn't he gorgeous? Isn't he gorgeous? Oh, he's a gorgeous retro rabbit. And look at him on this side. Both sides are just gorgeous. Loving all my retro fabric that I've found. He's beautiful. Now let's think how I'm going to finish him. Alright, what I might do is just put a button on it so that I don't have to tie a knot. I just tied a knot in these ones. I actually sewed that one and I wasn't my finest hour, and then I tied this one and the rec rack doesn't sort of tie that fun, but they're okay. What I might do is find a button for this one. Now you'd think there would be, you'd think I would be able to find a button in here. I've got that many of them. Come on. No. I sort of almost liked this white one that I first picked up. There's another nice big one too. Look at that. Oh, actually, I have still got, here's the rest of the dressing gown. And there's buttons on here. There's all different buttons on here. I'm thinking I should take one off here. Let's have a look. The square one or the round one? Let's get you off. Have a look at you. The other ones are round. So let's have a look. I just had that dressing gown sitting on the floor. Yeah, let's put that on. Let's put that on, and I will know then it's come off that dressing gown, that vintage dressing gown that I found. Let me know in the comments below what you're making for Easter, if you're doing any Easter crafty bits. I've been out in our little garden area, just our little pergola area, and I've been just fixing up all my plants, and I like to get out there in autumn and then again in spring, and I just make sure everything's neat and tidy and cut off all the dead leaves and things like that. So, and then in spring I get out there and give everything a fertilise, ready for summer, ready for its growing season, because everything's just going to go dead dormant soon, especially here. Everything gets so cold. Now I went outside it was yesterday morning, and I looked outside, and one of our fish, we've got a little fish pond, it's just one of those little plastic barrels you get from Bunnies, and it was out on the ground, a fish, and I was like, oh my goodness, what's happened to you? And I ran out and I gave him a little tap with my toe, and he started flapping. I thought he was dead. He started flapping and gasping for air, so I picked him up and put him back in the little tank, and I just held him in my hand and swished him back and forward like that to get some oxygen in his gills, and he started opening and shutting his mouth and wiggling his tail, and I thought, oh my goodness, you poor little thing, you've been sitting out there dying and I didn't even know. And I've been checking on him, and he's fine. He sort of was swimming near the top yesterday, but he's still alive. I hope he doesn't die. Sometimes when they get out like that, they get infected. Their skin gets infected. I don't think I can get you back in there. Looks like you're going to have to stay like that then. So I think what happened was I watered that afternoon and I filled up their tank, and I must have filled it too high to the top, and he must have jumped out. That's the only thing I can figure out. Right, you're on, and then I will grab this so it doesn't fray too much and just give it a little clip. I will let it fray a little bit, but didn't want to cut it too short. There we go. And I always put those sort of bits and pieces in my lace bucket. All my scraps. Oh look, I love how he's turned out. Isn't he cute? He's so cute. Or she's so cute. Alright, I'm just going to go one step further and make my bunny a carrot. So I'm just going to draw. It's not going to be anything fantastic. It's just going to have that sort of shape. Don't want to make it too big. Right, let's have a little carrot and then we'll put something like that on the top. Just gotta. Alright, so I'll cut that out. And you know, this sort of sewing is just so easy. You could do this with anything. So I'm just going to use, this is some of my vintage curtaining, and then this is some of the fabric I used for this bunny. So what I'm going to have to do is I want to sew an edge, like I have to sew the green on top of there. Okay, I have to, might do it that way, yeah. So what I have to do is stitch these two together. I'll just put a pin in them. And I need to stitch those two together. So have to do this before we cut the carrot shape. A lot of thread sitting around. Right. I'll come back when I've just sewn those two straight lines, okay? Okay, I've sewn just these two lines on this fabric. Just make sure when you sew them that's the wrong side, so that when you pull it out you see the right side. Okay, and we're going to put then, I just might roll these seams just so they flatten down a little bit because they're sticking up everywhere. Okay, because it doesn't matter, you could iron them or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. Okay, I'm going to put the right side down on the table and we're going to put the right side up facing me. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure that those two lines there are matching because we want the top of the carrot to look good. And then where's a pin? I'm just going to put a pin in the top and the bottom. And I'm going to put my pattern on here so that the carrot finishes here where the orange is and the green starts where the leaves would be. Let's draw around it. Right. See what that looks like. Yeah, that looks good. And Have a look on the other side. Yep. Right, and then I'm going to leave a little seam open where we can stuff it. Okay, so make sure you're leaving a gap where you can stuff it. Don't sew it right up, otherwise you won't be able to stuff the thing. And we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to follow along that line and make a carrot for our little bunny. Right, we're going to use that little opening there and we're going to put some stuffing in. I'll put it up to the top first in the leaves. So we'll put some down the bottom and then join it up with the stuffing that goes up to the leaves. Not hard to do. And then we're just going to sew that up. Just that straight line where I left off. Just try and pop it back under your foot. Squish that stuffing down. Get it back on the same line that you finished. And we'll just do a little back stitch. Okay, and then to finish my carrot, we're just going to clip it the same way as I clipped the bunny with the pinking shears. And I think it's come out pretty cute. And you could draw a little pattern for any occasion like that and sew it this way. There's no turning, there's nothing hard. And pinking shears on the carrot top look pretty cool. And if you would like to slow stitch this, you could stitch on some lines for the carrot and do all sorts of fun things. They look pretty. Got that little, just that little seam there where, there we go, that got it. And there's my little carrot. How cute is that? I think on the other side it was a little bit lower here, but that's okay. When you make one, you can straighten it up to make it look good. Now if you want, you can take a screenshot of that if you're not good at drawing. And you can make your own little carrot for your bunny. Look at these, aren't they so cute? They are so cute. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed looking at how I made the little bunny today. Thank you, Christine, for the pattern for the bunny, and I hope you can get some use out of the little carrot too. Turned out so cute, so cute. Alright, if you've enjoyed this, please like, share and subscribe. I'd love to have you here with me on my channel where I just do all sorts of things. I love doing things with my Opshop goodies. These are all fabrics that I've found from the Opshop, all of them, and I just love it. I could put a green tie on that. That would look cool too, wouldn't it? And yeah, if you want to, you can pop over to our Facebook group. It's called Opshop/Thrift ThriftshopCrafter, and you can see what people put up over there too, their Opshop finds, and like this, you know, show us what you do with your Opshop goodies. I just love making stuff that I found from the Opshops, and I need to do it more. I know I've done lots of haul videos, but I need to get in and do more make videos. Alright, I hope you're having a great day and all your Easter prep is getting done, and I will see you soon for a new new video. Take care in the meantime. Bye.